The Galactic Academy's xenobiology classroom fell into stunned silence as Instructor Vexhai wheeled in the containment unit. Behind the reinforced tritanium bars, something massive shifted in the shadows, something that made even the battle-hardened Krillian veterans unconsciously step backward. "Today, class," Vexhai announced, his forearms gesticulating with barely contained excitement, "we study one of the most dangerous predators from the infamous Deathworld Terra 3, also known as Earth." His mandibles clicked nervously. "Observe the Panthera tigris, a creature so lethal that even the humans classify it as an apex predator." The beast emerged from the shadows, and collective gasps echoed through the chamber. Orange and black stripes rippled across muscles that could crush tritanium. Yellow eyes, cold as dying stars, surveyed the room with predatory intelligence. When it opened its maw, revealing fangs longer than a Zelgarian's forearm, several students instinctively activated their personal shields. "Note the retractable claws," Vexhai continued, his voice slightly higher than usual, "each one capable of rending flesh and bone with minimal effort. The jaw strength alone can deliver a bite force of, oh wow, it's beautiful." Every head turned toward the back of the classroom where Lyanna Martinez sat, her dark eyes sparkling with delight, rather than terror. The human exchange student, one of only 3 humans in the entire academy, was leaning forward in her seat, completely oblivious to the waves of fear radiating from her classmates. Vexahai's compound eyes blinked in confusion. "Miss Martinez, I believe you misunderstand the gravity of—" "Can I get closer?" Lyanna interrupted, already standing. "I've read about Siberian tigers, but I've never seen one in person." The instructor's mandibles clacked in distress. "Absolutely not. This specimen has already killed 2 handlers on Proxima Station, even with the barriers." But Lyanna was already moving, her movements fluid and confident in a way that made the predator in the cage track her with sudden interest. Daniel Chen, the other human student, grabbed her arm as she passed his desk. "Lyanna, maybe we should listen to the instructor," Daniel whispered urgently. "I know we're from Earth, but that doesn't mean—" "It's fine, Danny," she whispered back with a grin. "Trust me." Daniel sighed, knowing that expression. He'd seen it before, right before she'd volunteered to help wrangle the highly aggressive Terran cattle on their agricultural planet field trip, much to the horror of their Centaurian guides. The cattle had practically purred under her touch. Lyanna approached the cage while every other student retreated to the far walls. The tiger rose to its feet, massive and magnificent, and pressed against the bars. For a moment, the 2 apex species regarded each other through the tritanium barrier. Then Lyanna did something that would become legend in the Academy's halls. She reached through the bars. "No!" Vexhai shrieked, lunging forward, but it was too late. Lyanna's fingers made contact with the tiger's massive head right behind its ears. The creature that had terrorized space stations from here to the outer rim closed its eyes and began to emit a sound that none of the alien students had ever heard before, a deep, rhythmic rumbling that seemed to resonate through the very walls. "What is it doing?" whispered Zektar, the young reptilian whose scales had turned pale yellow with fear. "Is it charging some kind of attack?" Daniel, who had reluctantly approached to provide backup for his friend, couldn't help but smile. "It's purring." "Purring?" Vexhai's translator seemed to malfunction on the word. "It means it's happy," Lyanna explained, never breaking her gentle scratching motion. The tiger had now pressed its entire massive head against the bars, leaning into her touch like a house cat seeking attention. "Who's a good kitty? Who's a beautiful big kitty?" The classroom erupted in confused chittering, clicking, and whistling as 20 different species tried to process what they were witnessing. The apex predator of a death world was enjoying belly rubs. "This is impossible," Vexhai muttered, consulting his datapad frantically. "The behavioral matrix indicates this specimen should be in full attack mode. Humans release no pheromones that would pacify." "You don't need pheromones," Lyanna said simply, now using both hands to scratch behind the tiger's ears while it made sounds like a massive, contented motor. You just need to understand that most creatures want the same things: safety, food, and a little affection. Humans learned that a long time ago. Daniel nodded, remembering his xenobiology classes, back on Earth. Convergent evolution means most pack predators develop similar social behaviors. We just evolved alongside them longer than most species. Extraordinary, breathed Dr. Yathara, the Academy's head of comparative psychology, who had been called in when reports of the incident reached the administrative level. In all our studies of Deathworld predators, we never considered emotional domestication techniques. Lyanna grinned up at the assembled crowd of students and faculty, still scratching the purring tiger. On Earth, we have a saying: there are no bad animals, only misunderstood ones. She paused, considering. Well, except for geese. Geese are just jerks. The tiger, as if sensing it was the center of attention, rolled onto its back in the cage, exposing its belly in complete trust. The sight of a creature that could kill them all demanding tummy rubs nearly caused 3 students to faint. Remarkable, Vexhai whispered, furiously updating his lesson plan. It appears we may need to revise our entire approach to Deathworld specimen handling. As word spread throughout the Academy, students from across the galaxy began to gather, watching in amazement as the human continued to interact with what they had all assumed was an unstoppable killing machine. The tiger, for its part, seemed to be having the time of its life, rolling and stretching and purring loud enough to vibrate the floor panels. You know, Daniel said thoughtfully, watching his friend give ear scratches to a predator that could bite through starship hull plating. This is probably why the Galactic Council is still nervous about approving Earth for full membership. Why? Lyanna asked, genuinely curious. Daniel gestured at the scene before them. An apex predator from a world so dangerous that most species couldn't even survive in its gravity well, now completely docile and happy in the hands of a human who called it Kitty. Because, he said, with a grin, they're still trying to figure out if we're the scariest thing in the galaxy, or if we just make friends with all the scary things so quickly that it doesn't matter. Lyanna considered this for a moment, then shrugged and returned to her scratching. The tiger's purring intensified. Why not both? She said. In the Academy's records, this day would be marked as the beginning of a new field of study: human Deathworld, predator relations. But for Lyanna, it was just another day of making a new friend, even if that friend happened to weigh 400 kilograms and could bite through tritanium.